So, no, I wouldn't say I have a passion for HR.
Welcome back to Human Resources for the People. It's a human capital revolution. The Teamsters gave the Republican National Committee one of its first major donations in a year, the Washington Post reports. We're going to be talking about that today, and we're going to go over the background, what it looks like, and what it'll look like in the future. First, the Teamsters are also known as the International Brotherhood of Teamsters. It's one of the largest and most influential labor unions in the United States. It represents a diverse range of workers, including truck drivers, warehouse workers, and workers in other industries such as package delivery, freight, manufacturing, and public services. And I think one of their most significant wins this year was over UPS, where back in August of last year, they ratified a pretty significant contract with huge raises, including total wages over the life of the contract up over $7.50 an hour. In January, Teamsters President Sean O'Brien met with the Trump administration, and it was at the Teamsters headquarters. And in that scenario, days after it, the Teamsters executive board members got a letter asking them to vote to approve $45,000 to the Republican National Committee under recommendation of O'Brien and Secretary Fred Zuckerman. The Teamsters have endorsed Biden in 2020, Hillary Clinton in 2016, and Barack Obama in 2012 and 2008, and it's part of a long history of Democrat-leaning activism, right? Democrat-leaning support for the Teamsters. Now, I do think that Sean O'Brien is feeling a little bit of heat with the rank-and-file employees. As someone who was working in a union shop during the run-up to the 2016 election, I understand this quite well. In the 2016 election, I saw very little support within the union shop in a red state for the Democrat candidates. It was mostly muted. I don't think there was a lot in favor of the Republicans, but it was absolutely muted in favor of Hillary Clinton. And so I do think that much of the Teamsters rank and file is a little bit leery of necessarily fully supporting Biden. Now, Biden has called himself the most pro-worker pro-worker president that has ever been. Now, that's a strong title to take away from people like Franklin Delano Roosevelt, for example, but it is a little bit questionable. I mean, he has, installed a labor advocate to lead the National Labor Relations Board. But on the flip side, he asked Congress to impose a union contract that did not include paid sick leaves for the railroad strike of 2022. I don't find that particularly different than Reagan's moves in the 80s against the air traffic controllers to a degree, right? I think certainly that was much more anti-union than Biden, but this was not quite the behavior of a pro-worker president, right? John Palmer, who's a Teamsters executive board member, said it was a play that will have a bit more leverage with the GOP, but it appears like a tacit endorsement of Trump, and that's probably more. I think the beginning of that statement was probably more accurate. It seems like the Teamsters are sort of hedging their bets in case Trump wins. They will have more leverage with the future president, and they want to sort of play both sides. And that's a fairly common move. They're not unique in this regard whatsoever. Many different organizations will give money to both sides of the aisle. In the same breath, the Teamsters also sent $135,000 to the Democratic National Committee last December and another $15,000 donation in March. And so, clearly they have not abandoned the Democrat Party in any regard, but they have decided to play both sides. I do think that this probably more speaks to Trump's potential candidacy and potential win rather than an actual full endorsement. This has angered quite a few people. You can see here someone who is quite frustrated with this decision from the Daily Kos. And they said that it is not hyperbole that their dues money is heading to the fascist Republican Party. So what do you think about this? Is this a calculated move on their part? Is it more like this article from the Daily Kos, or is it somewhere in between? Let me know in the comments down below. Like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next video. Bye, guys.